Hey, what's going on, everybody? Manny here once again. Welcome to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NFL and the NBA. Got a brand new video for you guys. We're going to discuss tonight's slate here in the NBA, in the association. I got the stud 5 and the value 5 for you guys. But before I get started with the video, like always, guys, I appreciate you guys drop a like. And if you're new to the channel, and as of yet, because I know we have a lot of viewers coming in from looking at channels for NBA content. If you're new here for the first time here, what you're going to get is I'm going to give you a stud 5 and a value 5. We're going to have 3 or 4 live shows per week, probably starting next week as well before lock. So a lot of stuff coming your way. And if you're also an NFL DFS guy and you haven't seen the channel before, you haven't subscribed as of yet, if you want to be able to get all this content for NFL and NBA, pretty much the only thing you have to do is that little red button down there below, subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe. Right next to it on the right-hand side, you got the little bell icon. Make sure you turn that on. This way you get notified right away when I put up any NBA or NFL lineup advice videos or live shows. All right, guys? Basically, that's it. Let's go over the slate, man. I got my stud 5 and my value 5. This is all new as far as the NBA. When I came on and I started the channel 7 months ago, I pretty much went from game to game. So this is more just to give you an idea for those who are new coming into the channel for the first time and taking a look at my content. I pretty much went game by game, went over the implied totals, and pretty much went over what I thought were the better plays per game. But that became very lengthy, and not only that, back then I was basically not doing any other sport. I was just doing NBA. That was back in middle of March, late March. Right now, I'm currently doing NFL as well as NBA, so it's a lot more content. I'm a one-man show here at DFS Zone, so I do all the work myself, all the research, all the videos, as well as the thumbnails, the 9 yards. Then, of course, I have family, young kids, and so on and so forth. So it's very difficult, but what I want everybody to know is that I decided to just make the videos a little bit shorter because they were pretty lengthy back then. And I'm still trying to work on making them even shorter, so this way I can get in and out of the videos quicker and be able to get the information over to you guys as fast as possible. But that's pretty much where I'm at. So I want you guys to understand you're going to get now a shorter version. I'm only going to go over my 5 top stud plays, 1 per position. And what I decided to add, I was giving stud 5 before, but still going over the entire slate. I'm going to get the stud 5, and I'm actually going to I decided to throw in value 5 this year. So you're going to also get, so you're going to basically get 10 plays every time you get one of my videos here for any 2-game slate or better. All right, guys? All right, let's dive in. Big, large slate, a lot of options you have. Obviously, I can't go over all of them like I used to do before. I'm just going to go over the ones I like. When it comes to point guard, I definitely think my stud for point guard tonight is Kemba Walker. Definitely love Kemba Walker here, man. 38 minutes the other day, 41 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. He put up 52.4. He is 8,800 here on Fanduel, which you need about 44 to cover that value, which I think he can get in this matchup, and 8,300 on DK. So if you wanted to play on DraftKings, that's what you're looking at. But let's go over to the cruncher. Get used to this because I usually use the fantasy cruncher here. Let me just get some of these guys here. I'm going to go right over to Kemba Walker. And Kemba Walker, like I said, last game, 52, man. It's just an explosive game, 39 minutes. The usage rate through the roof. As time goes along, if you're new here as a viewer, I definitely love fantasy points per minute. I definitely love usage rate. Obviously, we want minutes, usage rate. We want to get fantasy points per minute as much as possible, but the most important thing is we want to be able to have somebody on the floor that's in a favorable matchup and at the same time is going to be an integral part of their team's offense. And this offense revolves around Kemba Walker, and he may go crazy. The other day he went bonkers. As you can see here, we're looking for a lot of shots. All right, and he gets a ton of shots. We know that he's going to take a lot of shots. He is very important to this team, but the other night he just went really berserk. As you can see at 29 and 13, that's like 42 shots. Pretty much he took 43 shots. That's a lot of shots. I don't expect him to do that again today. And, you know, granted, he threw all those shots up. He only got 52. If he would have nailed down a few more and done a little bit more things, the only thing I do not like about Kemba Walker is that he doesn't go the extra mile on other things like rebounding, getting blocks and steals. He definitely does the stealing. Now let me restate that. He definitely defends a little bit, but he doesn't go out and get the rebounds. You're not going to get the additional shots, and he doesn't pass the ball much. So he got 41 floor points, which is fantastic, but that number looks huge compared to just 52 fantasy points. You figure he only got 11 more fantasy points from other things, and that is just not enough. You know, so again, nonetheless, I love the matchup. He put up 52 the other day. When you look up the 4 games he played against Orlando last year, 49 plus in 3 games. You got to love those numbers. The usage rate, the minutes were high, 34 points or better. Look at the usage rate, 23% or better. And the shots are there, like always. I mean, he had 27 here, 24 here, 32 here. And in the one game that he only put up 22, he only had shot 13 shots. But when he gets busy and he does things like other than just shooting the ball, like he did here, assists 7, 6, and 10, that's pretty darn good. That's what we want to see from Kemba Walker. Again, he's going up against Orlando. This is one of the games that is considered pretty high implied total. This game is the 4th highest implied total for today. It's one of the matchups I do like, and I'm very much interested in watching. 218 points in this game, and Charlotte is favored by 1.5. So we expect Kemba to get busy here. Orlando last year gave up 31.28 fantasy points per game to point guards, especially during the course of the last 20 games of the season. I'm basing this, and all my statistics are going to come based on last year's statistics. I look at a lot of fantasy points. I look at, obviously, the matchups between the two teams, how many points they scored, how many three-pointers, the whole 9 yards. But I comprise this down and look at a few things early on in the year. As the season progresses, there's going to be other added statistics that I'm going to put into my equation to make my decision on lineups. But nonetheless, some of the basic information, at least at the beginning of the year, and what happened last year, especially over the course of the last 10 to 20 games, I can get a good idea of more or less what matchups will be favorable going into this season, at least early on. So keep that in mind. But Orlando, like I said, 31.2 fantasy points per game last year in the last 20 games, and they gave up 4 40-point games to point guards. So there is an opportunity there to get some big time fantasy points from Mr. Kemba Walker. When I'm looking at my value play for point guard, I'm looking at Trey Burke of my New York Knicks. He is at 5,800 here on FanDuel and 5,700 on DK. So you need pretty much 28, 27 on both sides, more or less, to meet value. He has tremendous upside. That's the one thing. He's great for GPP. Remember, I'm a GPP player. He did put up 22 and 21 minutes the other day. That is more than 1 fantasy point per minute, which I like. I do think he's going to gravitate, and they're going to give him eventually some more extended minutes. So I don't think he's going to just stay at 21. In the 21 minutes, though, look how impressive that was against Atlanta. He took up 14 shots in 21 minutes and put 15 floor points, did get 4 assists. He did turn over the ball twice, but nonetheless, he was pretty darn good. His usage rate in that 21 minutes, 25%. So when he's on the floor and he's got the hands on his ball, he has definitely got the green light to do what he feels is best as far as him scoring points. So I really like it, and I love this game. I think this is a great game. I plan to do in the future, I plan to maybe do game stacking videos, and I think this game is a great game to stack, considering that I can't go over that today, but against Brooklyn, because Brooklyn is kind of one of the top teams last year as far as pace is concerned, and so far the way the Knicks played the other day and the way their whole offense is pretty much built right now with the players they got, I could see the Knicks looking to just get up and down the floor. As a New York Knicks fan, obviously I grew up in Brooklyn, so I am a Brooklyn fan as well, but I am definitely a New York Knicks fan at heart. 22 points over the preseason. He got 16 and 22. We're not going to base it so much on what he did last year. We do like to see the numbers that he was, what his price was. So he was pretty much 4,100 over the preseason. But against Brooklyn, this is against Brooklyn. This is in the preseason. Obviously, we can't go with the numbers with him in Brooklyn because he only played 8 and 16 minutes in these games. So we're going to base it more on Trey Burke, on what he did on the floor when he was on the floor. And last year, towards the end, as you can see, he was very much involved in his offense, playing 42, maybe as low as 29, 31 minutes, which is still pretty good for anybody who is starting. And he had a 62-point game against Charlotte. He has 50, 60-point upside. And I just love the matchup going up against Brooklyn. Brooklyn gave up 37.4 fantasy points per game, one of the highest in the league last year over the last 20 games against point guards. That is huge. They gave up 4, and then they had given up 6 36-plus games last year as well during that same span. So Trey Burke is in a good spot, man. That's it, just plain and simple. So he's my value play there. We go to shooting guard. At shooting guard tonight, My favorite play is right here on the top, man. Jimmy Butler, 9,500, going right to the best possible player here on the slate. 31 minutes the other day, didn't play massive minutes, put up 23 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, and 4 steals. We know we're going to get defense from Jimmy Butler. He put up pretty much a 50 spot in his first game. I mean, that is fantastic work by Jimmy Butler. And I'm going to go right to the cruncher. And when we go and we look at Jimmy Butler, 49 in that game, and of course a little choppy last year towards the end of the year in the playoffs, but 46 here, 48 here. Then we go and we check him out against Cleveland, and he's been fantastic against Cleveland. 2 games against Cleveland last year. Granted, one of them was in overtime. 54 and 51. Obviously, the usage is always with Jimmy Butler over 20%. Every time he's on the floor, he's going to get an opportunity. 26 shots here, 19 shots here. He was very efficient in this game here. That's why he got 54. He had 35 floor points. And then you're going to get a couple of added fantasy points, which we always want to see from a shooting guard or a point guard. At least, in my opinion, that's what I look for. And he got 6 assists, 5 rebounds, also had 2 steals. He's always going to be involved in all aspects of the game. And this is what I enjoy about him. If you look even further, even in 2016, 2017, he averaged 41 plus against this team. And this is against LeBron James. And now they got no LeBron James. So Jimmy Butler is in a great spot here tonight, man. They're going up against Cleveland last 20 games last year as far as fantasy points to shooting guards, 34.9 fantasy points per game. And you got a guy here who could give you 40 or better. Now at 9,500, I forgot to tell you guys, you need about 47 to cover that price. And on DK, he is 8,100 on DK. You only need 40, 41, and you cover that. I think he's going to get 40 or better easy tonight, to be totally honest with you. I think he has a great matchup against Cleveland. Like I said, Cleveland gave up 34.9. They gave up 2 huge 60 points or better games against guards during that stretch of 20 games, and 5 40-point games. So, I mean, they had a stretch there in those last 20 games of the season when they gave up 7 big games to shooting guards, man. So Jimmy Butler definitely is the value play, guys. Now for the value play. I mean, he is the stud play of the day there at shooting guard. And my value play, man, is going to be Mr. Monk of the Charlotte Hornets. Let's go over it over here. Again, this is a nice game. The Charlotte Hornet game against Orlando is going to be a good one. I like Mr. Monk here. 5,500. You pretty much need 27. And on DK, he's 4,700. So if you play on DK, I think in both sides, for me, that's a favorable price for Malik Monk. He's a guy that can get you 20, 25 on a regular basis, and he has upside. 18 points. Let's get over here to his game log. 33 minutes the other day. Fantastic minutes. And we already know that they really like him and they want to try to get him involved in the offense and be on the court on a regular basis. As far as that's the information I saw from the coach. 18, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 1 steal. He did a little bit of everything, filled up the stat sheet, 34.8 fantasy points. When I go to the cruncher, and we go down to Mr. Malik. Where are you, buddy? Mr. Monk, 34 in that first game, as you know. 34 minutes. Then you come down here last season. He finished up 3 games out of the last 4 games at 28 or better, and his price range was a little, obviously 36 and 30, 143. You always got to gauge that as well, folks. He's 5,500 here. So like I said, you need 27. You need pretty much 24 with the 47 on DK. He is capable of getting it. He has 50-point upside. And when you come here and you look at him, he played that 1 game. Last year, 4 games against Orlando. He was banged up quite a bit during the course last year. He only played 17 minutes in game 1. Didn't play in game 2 and 3. 41 in that last game. 8 of 14, 4 of 6. 26 fantasy points. Solid, man. I think it's just a solid play at 5,500. He's capable of getting you 40. I definitely like him there. I think he's the best value play in my eyes. I have a lot of exposure to him in this matchup because I think it's a great competitive game. It's going to be very close. All right, let's go to small forward. I don't want to drag it. Small forward. My man, listen, small forward is a lot of good plays here, man, but the one that makes the best sense, I mean, I'm not looking to pay up 11,008 versus Indiana, who likes to really bring the pace down on the games. Then you got Kevin Durant going against Utah, tough matchup as well. Kawhi Leonard against Boston, another tough matchup. The best one here is definitely Paul George going up against the Clippers. 9,200 for Paul. You only need 46. On DK is only 8,700. You only need 43 to make value, and he put 44 pretty much in game one. 37 minutes, 27, 2, 5, and 4 steals. You know you're going to get defense. Don't like the 5 turnovers. I'm sure he's going to clean that up. That would have been about 48 fantasy points. And the beauty of it is Mr. Westbrook is still out, so he is definitely the key guy for this team. He is the key. Very important. So let's go over here to small forward, and let's make Mr. George 43, like I said in the last game. He did have a 53 spot and 42 spot in the last 2 big games during the playoffs last year. Then we come down against the Clippers, and look at these numbers. In 2015-16, he had 51 or better. Last season, 42, 46, and 69. That's about 50 somewhat fantasy points per game. Look at the minutes. Look at the usage rate. 24, 34 here. Only 19.5 here, but got 46. Pretty much a 47 spot in 19 floor points. But then he makes sure he gets everything else involved. We know he's going to be in defense. He's going to be on defense. 1 block, 3 steals. Did have 3 turnovers, 7 assists, 7 rebounds. I mean, he fills up the stat sheet, man. And then knowing that there's no Russell Westbrook, him and Schroeder are going to have to put up massive numbers again. And not only that, they're going against the Clippers, who gave up 109, pretty much almost 110 points a game last year to the opposition. Clippers versus small forwards last year, in the last 20 games, 29.3, just a little over 29 fantasy points per game to small forwards. And we have a guy here that could put up easily 40 any given night. I think he's in a good matchup here. Over the course of that time, they gave up 6 35-plus games and 3 40-plus games during the course of those last 20 games. So they definitely did struggle against small forwards up front last year. And I just see Mr. Paul being able to have a great game here. He's definitely someone to consider. When we go over to the value play here, I like here, this was a tough spot because there's a couple of guys that definitely stand out to me, but I went and I decided with Jonathan Simmons. Again, I love that Orlando-Charlotte matchup. The numbers are not going to look too great here, but 4,800, I think he's a nice value play. And let me just get him up here on the Fanduel. Excuse me, wrong spot. Jonathan Simmons, 4,800, like I said. His first game out, 33 minutes, man. That's the first thing I looked at. 12 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, 22.5 fantasy points. Not anything huge, but at 4,800, you only need 24. And on DK, he's 4,400. You need 22 over there to cover his price. And then when you look here, 40-point upsides you can see against Milwaukee in the shootout, 37, 34, 24. So 4 out of his last 6 games last year, he did fairly well. And then we go over here. We look at the matchup against Charlotte. He did put up 47 in game 1 last year in 32 minutes. Definitely had some duds here in between 22 and 13. I just like the fact that he has upside. I know for a fact that he's healthier now as he posed last year. He was up and down a lot last year. When he was hurt, it was either Isaac or it wasn't him. If it wasn't him, it was Isaac who was there in the small forward spot. And then, of course, they had Hozonia, who's now with the Knicks. So, I mean, I just love the matchup. If you're looking for some value and with potential upside, especially as a GPP player, I definitely love this matchup. It's going to be a game that's going to be in the high 100s, probably in 110, 112 points by both teams. So I really love it. I think Jonathan Simmons is a very, very good player. When we go to power forward, same thing, man. You could pay off for Anthony Davis. You could take Anthony Davis all day. I just think this is a lot of money for Anthony Davis. Even though he's going up against Sacramento, I know he's capable of putting 80 up there any given night again. But at the same time, man, what is a dud for Anthony Davis? Maybe 40, maybe 35 fantasy points. And I think still, if I could get 35, 40 from Anthony Davis, I would be all right if his price was not 13.3. 13.3 here, and I think on DK's 12,000 and change. It's a lot of money for Anthony Davis tonight when you have an 8-9 game slate and you got more than enough opportunity. So when you look at this here, if you're on FanDuel, you see him at 13.3. You got Aaron Gordon at 8,400. He's in a decent matchup, a game that's going to be competitive. I don't know. I'm not convinced on Aaron Gordon. He hasn't had great numbers against Charlotte. So I am not going to be on Aaron Gordon, but I think he's capable of meeting value. Then you got Tobias Harris. He stands out the best to me. He's in a matchup where OKC gave up a ton of points. They gave 107.8 points per game last year. Did suffer up front with rebounding. I think Tobias Harris is a great play here. At 8,100, you pretty much need 40 or 41. And on DK, he's only 7,400. You need only 36, 37 to meet value there, 5x. So when you come over to the cruncher and I look at him a little bit closer, he did have 39.5 against Denver the other day, 41 minutes, and I did have him in some of my lineups. His usage rate was a little low, only 18, but he did take 19 shots. And he was very good. You know, I mean, he's fairly good, and he also got to the foul line. And what I like is he had a double-double. He had 19 points, 10 rebounds. Didn't like that he had 2 turnovers, but he'll definitely get here and there. He'll get his, occasional block or 2 or occasional steal. He definitely does some defense, and he definitely rebounds. So you're getting a lot of advantages. Then you look over here, 29 or better pretty much in the last few games, and he did have 2 40-plus games over the last 6 or 7 games last year. You go to OKC, he did put 43 against OKC in his last meeting, and he was only 7,700 then. He is a little priced up for $400 more. 36 minutes, 25% usage rate. Took 28 shots in that game and shot pretty much 50% from the floor, both from 3 and from the floor, from the perimeter. Also had 5 rebounds and 6 assists. Filled up the stat sheet. Got 2 steals, 24 points from the 24 floor points. So I mean, awesome game. And he's had 27 or better last year, and then the year before that. All these years, you can see he's had pretty good success against OKC, even with Russell Westbrook. And no Russell Westbrook here. I don't know. This looks like a recipe for a nice game for Tobias Harris. So Tobias Harris is definitely in play for me. OKC, last 20 games last year against power forwards, gave up 30.4 fantasy points per game. Definitely in the wheelhouse for Mr. Tobias Harris. They also gave up 107.8 points per game. Actually they scored 107.8 points per game, and the opposition nearly 105 points a game given up by OKC. So I love the numbers. I think Tobias Harris is definitely someone that we should consider as a stud for the day. My value play is going to be Mr. Domantas Sabonis of Indiana. Where is he at? Indiana. Yeah, Domantas Sabonis. 28 minutes, 14 points, 15 rebounds. This is one thing. This guy helped me a lot last year win money throughout the year. Every time I normally played him, he let me down. I think he let me down only once or twice. He gets massive rebounds. This guy is a baller. He plays, man. He's physical. He gets up front. 14 points, 15 rebounds, 2 assists. Surprised he didn't get no blocks and steals. He normally gets a number of blocks. 32 fantasy points. That is fantastic, man. Let's go to the cruncher. And I like the price, 5,600, man. You pretty much need 23, 24. You need about 28. And then he's 5,900 on DK, $300 more. So I definitely love him more on FanDuel. But look at these numbers. Preseason, all in the 30s pretty much. This is preseason here. This is game 1 here. 5,600. He went up. He's still the same price as the other day. And he put up 29 minutes. Usage rate perfect, nearly 23%. Took 11 shots from the floor. Definitely got those 5 rebounds. And he was very efficient from the floor. 14 floor points. Didn't like the fact he turned over the ball 3 times. He would have saved it. He would have gotten some more fantasy points. Then down here, 30s. And then he finished up the year fairly well. 2 dud games in between here in that series against Cleveland, but definitely played. When he does play more minutes, he definitely is more effective. So you definitely need to have him on the floor for at least 30 minutes or more. Against Milwaukee, not too bad. 33, 22, 26. More like about 26, 27 fantasy points per game, somewhere around there. Love the 27 to 31 minutes, 31 usage rate. The minutes not too bad. Like I said, if he gets 25, 26 minutes or more per game, he definitely performs better. But I think this is a game that they're gonna definitely need him to be on the court a little bit more. I think he's a nice value play. I also believe he has great upside. He's capable of getting you 40, 45. Mr. Sabonis is definitely in play for me, man. You're going up last year. Milwaukee in the last 20 games gave up 28.3 fantasy points per game to their opposition at power forward. They had given up 40 plus games last year. Horford had 58, Millsap 51. Hollis Jefferson put up 44, and Tobias Harris had 2 games at 42 and 38. So very, very huge games. At center, let's get to it, man. At center, I went with him the other night, and you know what? I just think he's the best deal here again tonight. I do like two guys here. I could possibly even talk about three. Marc Gasol at 8,300, man. I'm not feeling Anthony. I rather pay down at center in this spot. I think there's a lot of great other plays in other positions where you can get value from. But 8,300 for Gasol is still fairly cheap, and he's 7,200 on DK. 7,200 on DK, you only need about 36, and on FanDuel here, you only need 41, 42. And he is more than capable. He's capable of getting you 45, 50 any given night. So I definitely do like him. He had 30 minutes, 13 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Definitely need to get the rebounds, get a few more minutes on the floor. He did have 3 steals, 33.7 fantasy points. We go over to the cruncher. And Marc Gasol here. Not bad at all. Where is he at? So we got here 33 in the last game, 47 in his last game last year. And against Atlanta, the numbers are not that great. But remember, last year, Atlanta had Dwight Howard as their center. They don't have him anymore. Now they got Alex Len. Not to say that Alex Len cannot get the job done. Maybe just for whatever reason, Dwight Howard was just a little bit tougher on Marc Gasol than expected. And I think he has, with his experience, he can definitely do wonders, even just from the perimeter. Because remember, Marc Gasol is a pretty good shooter. So 15 and 28. He did have a 43 spot in the year prior to that. I just like those numbers, man. Other than Marc Gasol as a stud, let's say I would go co-stud here. I definitely love my man on my Knick team, Ines Kanter, in this matchup. 38 in the last game against Atlanta. And remember also, just before I even go to Kanter, remember Gasol is going up against Atlanta, and Kanter put up 30, pretty much 39 against them the other day with 27 minutes on the floor and put up 16 fantasy points and 11 rebounds. And that's an area that Marc Gasol can do pretty much the same. That's another reason why I am basing him as one of the studs. So again, back to Ines Kanter, I think he's another one that you can use as a stud tonight to pay down. I mean, instead of paying $10,100 for Mr. Towns, you got $7,500 and Gasol $8,300. I'd rather take one of those two guys. But again, 38 in his last game. Last year, he finished up the year with 33 and 35. He has 40, 50-point upside against Brooklyn. He did put a 50 spot in the preseason. As you can see here in 27 minutes, 22 points, 20 rebounds, man. 13 of them defensive, 7 offensive rebounds. Love to see that. When you get 7 offensive rebounds, you just gave your team 7 more opportunities to score points and more opportunities for yourself to get more rebounds. 53.5 points in the prior game last year, the last game of the regular season that they played last year on January. He put up 30 minutes and had 20 rebounds. It seems like he loves doing double-doubles against his team for 20 and 20. So, yeah, I love the matchup. I think Ines Kanter is definitely a stud for tonight. Going up in his paced-up game in the New York Knicks team, the way they're looking right now, they like to run and gun. And this man right here is not a bad paced-up center. He loves going up and down on transition. Definitely Ines Kanter is definitely someone to consider. He's a little high in price. I would prefer him more at a 69.7 or 6,900 or 7,000, but definitely a fine play. Then we're looking for a value play. I gave you two guys there, pretty much Marc Gasol or Kanter. If you want to get some value, maybe go with Dang. Just real briefly, Dang, man, 4,200. He's 3,600 on DK. That's pretty much bare minimum on DK. You're looking at about 15, 16 fantasy points. He can definitely do that. And 4,200 here on FanDuel. Pretty much need 21. I definitely like him more on DK. And look at the numbers, 30 in the last game, 24 minutes, pretty much more than 1 fantasy point per minute, 4 of 8 from the floor. Did have 6, got to the foul line and had 6 shots, hit 4 of 6. 5 total rebounds, 2 assists. I love the fact that he plays a little defense. He's going to get a block here and there. Usually pretty good for a block a game. 2 steals, 12 floor points, man. Pretty much a lot of putbacks. I really, he's going to get all the little dirty work. He's going to do all the little dirty work. And we know he's capable of getting 25, 30. He's going up against Cleveland. He did have a 17 and 23 spot against them the last 2 times he played against them. And the usage rate is not bad, man. When he has had the chance to have the ball, he's been taking advantage of it. 20% here and 27% here, 10 and 11 floor points. Not too bad for somebody that's just going to come off the bench. And they started utilizing him like really off, just going up there and playing right alongside Karl Anthony Towns, which I think is an excellent idea depending on the matchups. I think that would be great. So again, that's pretty much where I'm at, man. Those are the guys that I'm considering. Those are the value plays. So you got your stud 5, your value 5. All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, hope you liked the video. If you do, drop a like. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe so you continue to get this content for your NBA season. Remember, the NBA live shows 1 hour before lock. I'm going to figure that all out, due to the, my kids with their little after school programs and everything. Probably going to be 2 or 3 times next week. And then slowly but surely, as they finish up with those little programs and all that, I'll definitely open it up to about maybe 4 live shows a week. It's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you are a part of the DFS Zone community here. And again, man, enjoy the games tonight. Good luck, and see you guys on the next video.